People are calling Imaginary one of the worst movies ever made of all time. Now, is this really Blumhouse's piece of used toilet paper? Being a local YouTuber and movie reviewer, I'm about to recreate what the internet is saying about Imaginary. So here, I have an imaginary case, physical copy of Imaginary, my hopes and dreams. As you can see, they might be right. Here at Lost Legend TV, I have some ground rules. Rule number one, always respect everybody's opinion no matter what it is. There are movies, dear and behold, that I just absolute despise in this world. But however, I have been swayed many times. Rule number two is always form your own opinion. Being on YouTube's platform and being a movie reviewer, sometimes time is of the essence when a new movie comes out. Now this may pertain to spoilers or movie news. Speaking of that, that's one of the main reasons I stay off social media. A big blockbuster horror movie comes out the day of or even before, and it gets spoiled from me before I even get to see it. That's why we don't really cover horror movie news on this channel. Show me the trailer, let me sit on that shit for a couple of months. I want to go see the movie blind. And rule number three, most importantly, never half-ass a video. I'm never gonna ride the wave. I will always form my own opinion, and I will never do a movie review off of memory. If I haven't seen that shit in 2 or 3 years, bro, I'm not reviewing it. Now if we're doing a ranking or something, yeah, sure. If we got fucking 13 films to rank, then maybe, yeah, I'll do it off memory. But if I'm gonna dedicate almost an hour of recording this video to condense this down to 10 or 15 minutes and 3 hours of editing, you damn right, I'm gonna make that shit spicy. And it's not gonna be off memory. It's gonna be right here, baby. Fresh. Birdman. Oh. And you've read the title, you've seen the thumbnail. This is Imaginary. And of course, I've seen people just absolute shit on this movie. I've seen people rage on this movie, call it the worst movie ever made, giving it a 0%, a 0.5, walking out of the theater. But what are my thoughts on it? Let's break this baby down. I'll tell you right now, it's not a good movie, okay? It's by no stretch of the imagination is it a good movie. However, this is nowhere near as bad as what I think people are giving it. So let's talk about the good, let's talk about the bad, and let's talk about how to fix this, Blumhouse. Let's talk about how to fix this. So if you haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert, let's break this baby down. So the film follows Jessica, our lead character, who moves back into her childhood home with her boyfriend and 2 kids. Now Jessica is not their biological mother, and that does come into play quite a bit in this movie. But this is a play on imaginary friends. And you can break this movie down from A to Z pretty fucking quick because not a whole lot happens in this movie. Because once they move into the house, Jessica's boyfriend, he goes off on tour or some shit, and he disappears for the rest of the fucking movie. He's a completely disposable character. Now, I think that's one of the main cons I have about this movie is that I don't think there is any likable characters. Jessica was good at times, but for the most part, I just found her performance kind of bland. Taylor, the oldest of the 2 children, she's just a straight up biatch in this movie. I mean, to the point where it's excessive and it's kind of cringeworthy. Alice, the younger one, which Chauncey, the monster, the imaginary friend slash monster, you're trying to get a hold of, her acting isn't bad at points, but again, if I had to sum it up, I just find it kind of subpar. And then you got Gloria. Oh my god. That old bitch across the street, she is the worst part of this movie, I think. Well, not really, but when it comes to character acting, yeah, she is on a totem pole of garbage. There is no need to explain this whole movie because it can be broken down in 5 minutes. So let's just fucking get it over with. They move back into the house. Alice finds this teddy bear, which turns out to be her imaginary friend. And the movie tried to do a creative twist, and I'll kind of give them props on this because the movie leads you to believe that Alice had this imaginary bear called Chauncey because there's also a lot of scenes where Jessica and Chauncey also share a scene. But it turns out to be that Alice's behavior just gets stranger and stranger, that they get a therapist in the house and she videotapes everything. They're turning the camera around and there never was a teddy bear. So Jessica and Alice were sharing the same delusion, which is a creative twist they try to do, but however, I saw it coming a mile away. At the beginning of the movie, I actually thought this was a love letter to Nightmare on Elm Street. And you may think I'm crazy for that, but she checks her mail and the address is, it's 9817 Elm Street, Springwood, Los Angeles, California. Elm Street, Springwood. Now this is a fictitious address because upon my research, and I may be wrong, but I could not find Elm Street, Springwood in California anywhere. There's an Elm Avenue. So you have Elm Street, you have Springwood. The movie opens with bad dreams. You have a burn victim and a child. You have little kids singing creepy songs as part of the soundtrack. I mean, everything was just kind of like adding up there, and I was like, is this a fucking spiritual love letter to Nightmare on Elm Street? Another con about this movie is that it really struggled to hold my attention. There's a lot of scenes that I saw coming a mile away. I think this movie is the definition of cliche tropes. Like this one in particular scene where Alice and Jessica have a fight. She runs upstairs, she's crying and all that. She's talking to somebody else, she goes back into the room, and Alice is under the covers. She's sitting there giving her a good mom talk, trying to make her feel better. She hears Alice out the window. She looks out the window and sees Alice, turns back, pulls the blanket over, and it's the teddy bear. The teddy bear that was never there. The beef between Jessica and Taylor was really fucking annoying. I mean, you can throw that out there as part of the story, as part of the exposition, because it's a realistic thing that somebody can relate to. I'm sure teenagers in that situation, right? But there's this point in the movie where Alice goes missing and Jessica and Taylor are out on the street looking for her, right? And then they're just talking about, oh my God, how are we gonna find Alice? And then Taylor just abruptly says, oh my God, you're making things so much worse. I'm just like, bitch, this woman is in the street looking for your sister. How is she making things worse? And of course, Taylor goes knocking on door to door, which whoop-de-doo, and then she stumbles upon Gloria, who comes saves the day, who knows everything about what's going on, because these kind of movies just have to have this fucking hero who pops in suddenly and knows what to do about the situation. Like the first time you see Gloria is when they're first moving into the home, and she used to babysit Jessica when she was a kid, and she's giving Taylor this whole spiel about, yeah, everything that's happening to Alice happened to Jessica. There's this door, there's this entity, this has become my life's work, my life's obsession. She is literally the Dr. Loomis of this fucking movie. And also the most annoying fucking part. Other than that, let's talk about some good things I like about the movie. This movie has some great transitional shots. Pretty creative there. There's this point where Alice needs something because Alice is playing this game with Chauncey, this to-do list, and she needs something that's happy. So Jessica grabs the ball, draws a smiley face on it. There you go, baby. Have at it. They go down into the basement, and Jessica sees the ball, and it's got a frowny face now. Small moments in the movie like that actually kind of made me chuckle a little bit. Another plus that I thought early on in the movie is that you see the entity hiding in the background ever so subtly, and it's kind of creepy at moments. However, they play that so fucking much where they start to throw it in your fucking face. To build upon that, if you was to sprinkle some shots in like that throughout the whole movie, it can really make it eerie and build a really good aesthetic atmosphere for the movie. However, what I think really hurts that in the long run, not only, like I said, did they do it multiple times, and there's multiple times where it's just waving at you like, hey, I want you to see me, is that the opening scene is Jessica having a nightmare, and the CGI in this is, it's not the best. I've seen worse, I've seen way worse, but it's definitely not the movie's strong point. Jessica's also this artist of like this comic book where she like illustrates this big spider monster, was what she sees in the beginning, and that comes back into play later. Predictability is the stake to the heart of this movie. It follows almost every cliche PG/PG-13 trope there is. They move in, Taylor finds this hot guy as a neighbor named Liam, and Liam is a fucking douche. So you got the mom who can't remember shit. You got Taylor, who's a total biatch to everybody in the movie nonstop. You have Alice, who's just bonkers for this fucking teddy bear that doesn't exist. You got Liam, who's a fucking douche. There's one point in the movie where he's like, you want some Molly, girl? Let's get fucked up. And he looks over, and Taylor just sitting on the couch trying to watch a movie, just chilling out because they got to keep this PG-13. And the guy's like, this is fucking boring. This fucking sucks. God, what am I gonna do? He looks over and sees the dad stash of fucking bourbon and shit. He's like, oh, let's get fucking wasted. He drops it. He goes upstairs to get towels, right? He's taking a piss. And there's a scene in the bathroom where Chauncey the teddy bear is hiding under the towel over there. Makes him miss the toilet. He's fucking pissing everywhere. Turns back around. He's gone. And then he's gonna go back downstairs like, Like, dude, you went up there to get towels. You had towels right beside you. Like, why are you not getting the fucking towels? Clean up the fucking mess you made. That's not your fucking home. And then there's this jump scare with Chauncey the teddy bear, which he doesn't exist, which that part comes on later, but it's very confusing, okay? It's very fucking confusing. The logic in this is fucked. And the ending of this movie is Jessica just magically starts remembering everything from the paintings that she did on the wall. She finds the magic door where Chauncey took Alice and goes and gets her, and Gloria goes with him, and Gloria's death is so predictable up to the moment where it's about to happen. I was like, yep, there she goes, and there she went. That in itself is a whole anticlimactic scene because that whole thing just fucking bonkers, right? I mean, there was cool elements into it, like they had this child's lamp, and when they turned it on, this other child popped up out of nowhere. But as far as like a final boss fight, you don't ever get that. They narrowly escape, and they try to pull the double twister where you think the ending of the movie is gonna happen, but it's not actually the ending. Like, Jessica thinks she got out, and she's going to go visit her father, which has mental impairment. And we find out why, because he actually went in there in that magic door room and pretty much saved Jessica, and he looked into the eyes of Chauncey, and he was never the same again. But the end of the movie, they're in there, and Jessica realizes, I never made it out. And then it's another short fight scene, but they just run out the door, and that's that. They go into a hotel, they see this child over here with a very similar teddy bear to Chauncey, and they're like, do you want to get another motel? Yeah, let's fucking go. Meet, vroom. And then the camera pans, and it's actually Chauncey the teddy bear. Let's talk about how you fix this movie, Blumhouse. First of all, I don't give a fuck if this is PG-13, right? Me myself, I highly prefer rated R movies just because I feel like you have a little bit more freedom there, you know? Whether it be gore, kills, or just story. But PG-13 is fine. You have to stop following the template every single time, okay? When I can tell what's about to happen by the look on actors' faces and the music build-ups, if I can call your twist 10 minutes before you're about to do it, if I'm supposed to hate this character, fine. When everybody's in the final stage of this movie and everybody as the team is watching this movie, you can't tell me that nobody had at least one thought is like, oh, this is kind of, because only two things can happen in that room. Number one, which is normally how it goes, you compromise. Hey, we spent all this money, we already done all this shooting, fuck it, let's try to make a return on this and let's get a paycheck, right? Or you can go option number two. So Blumhouse, let's take Halloween as a perfect example here. When you do these private screenings, not only audiences, but let's talk about just the fucking cast, crew, and directors, right? The editor. There's somebody that green lights this film before it ever makes it on the test screen. If the majority doesn't like it, have some respect for the fucking crowd. Okay, this is no different than consumer versus buyer, right? We are paying to watch this movie, okay? How about for once, let the money benefit us, the audience. If the shit don't look good, if it don't sound good, if it has some shitty test screenings, go back and reshoot that shit, man. Go back and reshoot it, dog. I used to be a fan of Blumhouse. I still am, okay? I'm not gonna disown them for throwing out, you know, a wave of bad movies the past few years. But on the flip side of that, I used to see Blumhouse be like, cool, Blumhouse movie. This might be pretty interesting. Now when I see a Blumhouse logo, I'm like, okay, this might be good or bad. Just cross your T's and dot your I's, man. Like, this is not that hard. This is how I would fix it, okay? I could keep Jessica on board. I could keep Taylor on board. I could keep Liam on board. I could keep Alice on board, okay? Not saying that I'm a fan of those, but let's say those are your core four family characters, right? Not including Liam, because you have to have that douchey fucking guy that the teenage girl likes, but whatever. Get rid of Gloria, okay? How about you go back and explore the dad's story? We are introduced to the dad very vaguely in the beginning, right? We find out his story about how he saved Jessica in that fucking imaginary world they go to, and then we see him at the end a little bit. Why not bring that character back? I mean, that is the character you would think that knows most about any of this. Why not let him come back and whoop some fucking imaginary ass? God bless her soul, Betty Buckley, who played Gloria. Like, I'm not knocking her as a person at all. But my second rule I pointed out at the beginning of this video is I respect everybody's opinion. And my opinion on this is that take her out of the fucking movie. Like, take her out. So I guess it's time for my rating. I'm gonna give this movie, I'll give this movie a 3.5 out of 10. I didn't enjoy it, but it's not the black sheep of the century that I feel like everybody's claiming it to be either. But that's my video, guys. Thank you so much for taking part of your day to kick it with me. You know I appreciate it, I really do. I love all you guys. You know what, just throw some comments down. Like, I just feel like talking to y'all about this. Like this one in particular. What's your opinion? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you agree to disagree? Let me know. Love you guys. Until next time, adios.